Evening. Can everybody hear me?
Yeah.
Was about to do a sound check myself. Sounds good.
I'm having audio problems. I see Chris and Alan, you responded, but I didn't hear anything.
I can hear you now. Is someone
How about
speaking?
now?
'Cause I
Okay,
can't
great.
hear it.
Now I can hear everybody.
Rich, are you leading today's meeting? Or are we still waiting on Melody?
I thought Melody was going to be here.
Melody was, although Rich, you could get it started if you wanted to, just for sake of time, since you
Yeah.
have quorum.
Okay, I just wanted to note, though, I thought, let me just see that, okay, I just wanted to make sure, okay, I will do that. Let me pull up the agenda. Calling them, I'm gonna call them, do we have a quorum? Just want to make sure.
You do, yeah. Now I can do roll
Okay.
call here in a minute.
All right, call the meeting to order. Miranda, do you want to do the roll call?
Yep, so we'll just call the meeting to order at 6:59 PM. I'll just do roll call and then it looks like Melody joined, so I'll turn it over. So Nicole,
Here.
Chris,
Here.
Alan,
Here.
Melody.
Here, just got here.
Okay, great. Rich
Here.
and Rab.
Here?
All right, and please note for the record that, trying to think who is absent here, having a moment. We have Patricia.
Maddie, is Maddie here?
And Maddie, yeah, and Maddie is also absent. So please note for the record that those two members are absent. All right, you're good. Melody, if you want to take it from here.
Remind me what the first thing on the agenda is.
It's actually me. I don't even know why I said that. I can do this.
Okay, you take it away,
So
Miranda.
I got it. So car share, I just want to give a quick update about car share, and then we can talk about incentives. So car share, we hope to have the vehicle parked in the EV spot early next week. There actually is already a sign up there on the charger saying that one spot is reserved for the car share. So lots of confusion has been caused for that, but wanted to make sure that we had the sign so that whenever they're ready with the vehicle, they can drop it off. So expecting that as early as next week, but as soon as I have a date narrowed in, I will let you know. The intention is to do a soft launch though. They want to do a soft launch, word of mouth, just letting people know, and then do a hard launch, do a big event somewhere located outside of town hall, just celebrating this car share, likely mid-February. We haven't narrowed in that date quite yet. I actually meet with car share tomorrow to figure out what day we'll do the hard launch. But when the vehicle is up here, people can start signing up, and so we can share it word of mouth. So unfortunately, I don't have enough details there to give you more information than that, but I'll send an email to SAP tomorrow when I have those details worked out. So I guess any questions about where we stand on car share before I jump into the incentives? Okay, so Obviously, you recall it costs $6,000 to kind of enroll. That's our portion of getting with CarShare. But they're going to use that $6,000 to promote this program. And one of the ways in which they promote is through incentives. And so I really would like feedback from SAB about what kind of incentives you think would be good. So one example is the flyer that I sent you all, which has this special promo code. So maybe it's like net free, which gives you a discount of 25% for a certain period of time. You know, the first 100 people who sign up could get a credit. You could target it to specifically just low income. You could also just target it to, say, Tungsten Village. There's a lot of options in terms of how you want to incentivize the use of this. And I'm just looking for your feedback on what you think would make the most sense from an incentive standpoint as we work through that $6,000 that we have.
Yeah, so a couple quick thoughts. I know that we were originally looking at the possibility of funding and reaping economic benefits potentially ourselves, and also, sharing that risk with CarShare. And I think we decided for the latter. So I think that what we'd probably like to do is build a base of membership. So maybe incentivizing sign up is what we'd like to do initially, and then we can vary that across different groups if there's an economic consideration to be made as well. But that's just thoughts that come to mind.
Sure, and I have an email that I've just pulled up here. Is they kind of noted here you could have where the application fee is waived if you use a certain promo code. You get credits if you live at a BCHA housing authority. You can also get some additional credits.
Yeah, personally speaking, I generally don't try to download apps on my phone that cost money to download. So I think if we were to waive an application fee, that'd go a long way. And then maybe we could waive an application fee and provide a certain amount of drive credits for based on economic standing of participants.
Okay, obviously it has to be limited at some point. Would it be so maybe I'll just keep getting ideas, but one thing to consider is if you're waiving the application fee, it has to, maybe it's for the first 100 or however many people. I'm not sure the 6,000 will last us to waive it for everyone, but you could also maybe look at you waive it for the first 90 days or something like that. But would love to, thanks Rob for that. Would love to hear other thoughts from the group.
This is Melody. I just concur with Rob that getting people to sign up is really what we want. And so those free credits to start out with and waiving that application fee feels like those make the most sense to me as well.
Okay. So this first option, application fee waived at a $25 value, and then the $25 drive credit, and not do anything specific to like BCHA, low income designated housing. You just want to kind of keep it to anyone can get the credit.
I think that there maybe we can do a tier where application fee waive for everybody for a certain number of signups, and then we can determine that, and then we can give tiered drive credits based on low income housing or other criteria.
Okay,
I guess
great.
I'm cautious to go with if you live at Tungsten Village, because there are so many people that are low income in our community that don't live there. So I'd almost want it to be like you qualify for food stamps or some other kind of broader measure rather than just the Tungsten Village.
Okay.
But that's
Great.
just my opinion.
Yeah, no, I'm writing them all down and we can maybe narrow these in a little bit more. Alan, Chris, Nicole, Rich, you have thoughts?
I don't know that I have anything other than what's been said.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with what's been said.
Same with me.
Alan? Right, Rich, thanks. Alan?
I agree.
to make this fast and easy. So would you be comfortable, and Rab, I don't know if we need to sort out the amount, like I'll just take this back to CarShare and say, we want to do a combination of the application fee waived and the $25 car credits for either a set amount of people or a set amount of time to encourage signups. And then in addition, we'd like to look at the maybe a higher drive credit for individuals who qualify for food stamps, Medicaid. I mean, there's a lot of different ways to do that.
Yeah, what metrics do we have available to us? I'm not quite aware myself.
I'm not aware either. Melody, do you know?
So food and or Medicaid, it's usually a pretty easy one because people have their EBT card and you can just have them show it. That's usually pretty easy. Another one, but we'd have to verify income, and or Colorado CarShare would have to verify income levels, is using like the county does for their programming, like 80% of the poverty level or 80% of the median income level. So we could base it off the county way, but that we'd have to verify income. Whereas if you just say, oh, you qualify for SNAP, then the person just has to show you they have an EBT card. They don't have to give you their income. They don't have to tell you how many people are in their family, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, I guess one thing I guess maybe I have to probably go back to CarShare is they're the ones who take on the lift of verifying. And so I might need to just kind of clarify with them how they want to handle. I mean, they were obviously going to ask for proof for BCHA anyways. So perhaps they're already doing this in Breck or somewhere else and would know exactly what they felt was the best means to have kind of that low income proof of sorts to get that supplemental credit.
And I think whatever proof we're using needs to be the minimum amount of effort for the applicant.
Yep.
We don't need them finding documentation or something.
Yep. Agreed. Okay. Well, if everyone feels comfortable, then I'd love to just kind of take it from here with your guidance and finalize these pieces with CarShare tomorrow, and then just send you all an update rather than getting kind of an official vote. I guess I am asking for that kind of nod or comfort with directing me to take it from here with the feedback you've provided.
Nod.
I'm a nod.
Fabulous. Are there two more nods?
Nod.
Great.
Good.
All right. Well, that's CarShare in a nutshell. And so I will send you all an email tomorrow with a lot more information about getting that soft launch, hard launch, the incentives, and anything else I get from my meeting tomorrow morning.
That's awesome. Thank you, Miranda.
Yes, it's very exciting. But the one thing I will say though is that people, once we hung up the sign, people have come in complaining that it appears that one charger is taken offline. So I do want to maybe talk to CarShare about like, if they can like advertise it, like if our car isn't parked there, you can't use this. It's hard to say because right now the sign says this is reserved for the CarShare vehicle only. And I'm not really even sure there's any other way to do it than that way, but it does create some confusion.
Yeah, because we don't really know when the car is going to be there, just that it has to take that spot, right? There's not like a schedule or anything that we can.
Right, and we can't be running out there, putting up the sign, taking it down and putting it up. But so the sign says reserved for CarShare, violators will be ticketed or towed.
Yeah.
And then right now it's up because we might get the car even as early as tomorrow. So that's why it's up already. But it's something I want to explore with them tomorrow of just how to navigate that messaging. But Rab, yeah, would love your thoughts if you have some.
Yeah, can we pair that signage with a sign that says public charging parking spot that just designates a public charging parking spot? That way we don't have icing happening and it's pretty clear where the public is supposed to park to charge.
Yeah, I think the person who came in today to talk to me was like, so you're going to go down, already felt like 2 was too, we're waiting for the electrical to be upgraded for the level 3s, but he said you're going to take it from 2 chargers to 1 because of this program. And of course the board did agree with that. And then I tried to communicate, like he was welcome to park there now because the car is not here, but we can't do that all day long. So I would love some, I'll ask car share to give me some thoughts on how to work this, and that we want to make sure that people do feel comfortable using it when there's not a car there, but we also can't have it taken up all day long to where we can't charge our own car.
100%. And I would also be comfortable suggesting that there'd be signage about EV only parking in the that other remaining charging spot, with the threat of towing for non cars that aren't charging.
Sure, okay. Great suggestion, thanks. All right. Well, more to come from me. Keep an eye out for your email, and then happy to answer any questions you all have about car share, but it should be here soon enough. Melody, the next thing on the agenda was to review goals.
Yeah. So we have at least one new member since we finalized our goals, maybe more. Forgive me that I can't remember. But so I just kind of wanted to review it since the beginning of the year, and we had a pretty light agenda. And just kind of go over, what we did this past year, what was successful, what we might have learned. And I put that goals document in the agenda, so hopefully people. And open at the same time. Come on, WebEx.
Melody, you kind of broke off, so we didn't hear the last 2 or 3 sentences. Uh-oh, did we lose her? Is it just me, or did I not?
I still get
No,
you.
I think we,
Document up. All right, so every time I go open the agenda and or open anything else, my bandwidth starts going low and then you guys can't hear me. So I was trying to open things and now I've stopped. So if somebody else wants to start reading through what those goals are on that goals dashboard, that would be helpful. Perfect.
yes, I just pulled it up on the screen. Do you want it still read through, Melody, or can everyone see the screen?
Yeah, I can see the screen.
Perfect. So energy buildings. We did, in fact, relaunch the solar. Is Leah still working on that with the new company?
She was working on it, although since she's been gone, I have not heard from them, although they do know I'm their point of contact. So I do not have an update for you on that.
Okay.
But it is still a thing, so.
Yeah, and so what happened with that basically is we picked US Solar, and that partnership didn't end up working out. So we kind of got put on hold this whole past year, and hopefully we'll kick back up with a new plan this year. Does anybody else have comments on how that went, how we could have done better this year?
I think that was just an unfortunate situation where we had the first partner that didn't work out. And I think, had we had the right partner starting off, we would have gotten a lot farther in our goal. So I don't know. That one's kind of a tough one.
I guess I just wonder, is there, given that there's a new group involved, do you obviously just keep it and to Nicole's point, in hopes that they are able to realize the numbers that weren't able to be done before? I think that new company is under the impression that this is still kind of the same commitment and the same goal, and they felt like they could help actualize it. And I was just looking, so it does look like they've officially put out on our website, Pivot Energy Community Solar is out there. And I know Leah talked with Peter about a social media campaign, and it does look like it ended up on our Facebook. And so I think it's just a matter of just pushing this. US Solar was not willing to give us a list of whoever signed up with them because we of course wanted to do some targeted outreach to say, hey, you know, you could stay with US Solar or you could switch. So we just kind of have to really push the messaging here in hopes we can get people signed up for this.
Yeah.
Oh, they weren't willing to give our own people who signed up? I mean, that's not considered our data?
No, it's considered their data, their private data.
My, okay,
Yeah.
that's crappy, but okay.
Yep. So we knew of some, and so Leah did some direct outreach of just like, hey, you know, just so you know, this is an option for you. But I'm not even sure. And again, maybe I just need to reach out to Pivot just to say like, hey, how's it going? You know, but I think you all know, like our social media campaigns are only going to do so much, especially with this world of solar. And so I think we maybe just need to get creative in how we want to try to push this out more. What's the best means to do so? Because we can only generate so much through kind of traditional media channels.
Yeah, the biggest thing, and we have this on here on our action steps, is having outreach at events,
Yeah.
even like the farmers market and stuff, and then also just door to door knocking and letting people know it's available in town limits. You know, a group of 3 people walking through Old Town one day.
Hey, Miranda, do we have any language already drafted up in terms of, you know, because that was one of the things that we had kind of drafted up with the old company is, you know, even though it wasn't dramatic, it was like 5% savings, you know, you're doing this, yada, yada, yada. It was all the value propositions. Do we have something like that already drafted up with the new company with Pivot?
Good question. Let me find out when I chat with them. You know, I would have to, I can't look now because I'm sharing my screen, but I do know that Leah sent Peter a pretty in-depth email about kind of different ways to promote this. And he is going to do it on a regular frequency. And so there's future posts to go out that do talk about the benefits. Because they worked out like a social media campaign. So I'm going to say yes, but I can confirm.
Okay, that would be great.
Yeah.
I got some feedback from people who said, you know, and maybe this was a function of US Solar, but they said, you know, it's a lot of time and effort, and I'm not really going to make much savings. So I think if we can, I mean, the rationale, we all believe the rationale is straightforward. Do your part, get off of fossil fuels, get onto renewable energy, you know, address climate change, et cetera. But some people don't buy that. It's like, you want me to do what? And it's not going to be any less expensive. So I think we need to not assume that people know the benefits and sell the notion that, you know, you hear a lot of death and despair about climate change. Well, you can personally do something at the local level. And I believe the more people sign up for solar, the less expensive it will get. And it's already less expensive than fossil fuels. But I think there's a certain amount of distrust with this Excel. And this is not Excel, but I mean, it's a solar garden provider. So I do think that sort of like there is some blowback that Excel just wants to make maximal profit. I'm not getting a break for doing the right thing. So I don't think we should make any assumptions that people are going to know what all the tangible and intangible benefits are in our campaign.
Yeah, and that feedback, Alan, mostly comes from the previous US Solar campaign, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Some people notice that Renewable Connect used to be at a discount and it's not anymore.
Okay. Yeah, that's
So
why I
it's
think
like,
I'm interested in what those value propositions are with this new company. If there's anything different that we can really like capitalize on and harp on, or, you know, what those different incentives might be. So,
and if there is some sign up incentive from them, that would help to motivate people.
Yeah, for sure.
And I do think we just need to talk about the overall benefits, just in general, doing the right thing.
Yeah, I'll take a look at that social media campaign that was set up. I'm confidently have built that in, but I just can't say for certain in this moment.
Okay, thank you, Miranda.
I'm just curious though, Melody, from this, of course, I think the town will be interested in trying to get like booths at the farmers market and having maybe people attend that from the outreach, but was there any further thought about that door to door? And was that gonna be like a SAB initiative that people were gonna sign up to do door to door? Or just curious how that was gonna be kind of realized.
Yes, it was going to be us and or, friendly people who may want to help out with this specific thing. Like the last time around when Alan was knocking on doors, Lester went with him, and Lester wasn't on staff, but he was, wanting to help out with the whole kind of renewable campaign. So yeah, it was going to be us, and basically either pair up or groups of 3 or something, and everybody kind of take a day and a block and split it all up between us.
I can raise my hand for that as well.
And we're ready to do that, right? Everything's working on the back end, no problems in getting folks signed up. I just wanted to
Yeah,
double check.
it's on our website. I'm happy to send the link out to everyone if you haven't had a chance to see it, but all of the instructions on how to sign up, they made it very clear on the website how it works, 1, 2, 3, kind of quick and easy sign up process.
Okay.
So I think also just maybe getting it out through our own networks too.
Yeah, and I can send it through Big Springs, and then, when I'm on some of my walks, start knocking on folks' doors as well. So, because we have a Big Springs listserv.
We have had events previously at Wild Bear, for example, and we've gotten really good turnout. And maybe we should consider doing something like that as outreach. Have a speaker or maybe just the company and some refreshments or snacks and say, hey, come on over to Wild Bear or the community center and hear about this.
Alan, does Wild Bear have any existing events coming up that we could pair with instead of spinning up our?
I don't know. I could check.
Okay, yeah.
It sounds like Pivot has this marketing budget, so hopefully we can interest them in hosting an event like that. Have a person out there, and then maybe also provide those refreshments.
Yeah, and the library is always open to events as well. They really like community outreach events. So I'm sure we can find one place or another.
We also are having, Miranda, are we having another event soon around the comprehensive plan? Because I know that was a huge turnout.
I think it'll be in April.
Okay.
It's quarterly.
It's quarterly. Okay, so I would maybe suggest that we think about some of those events, like where we're bringing lots of folks together for the comprehensive plan talk, and then also, it is an election year, and so I suspect that there will be some election events where people will turn out that we could also, potentially just have some folks there talking to other folks about the solar campaign.
Yeah, like a table at entry or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Can I put an off the wall idea out there?
Yeah.
I apologize in advance, but this is off the wall. I'm just thinking of a way to get people's attention, because that was what we ran into last time. I was sort of involved in these mailers and the postcards and the whatnot, and people just ignore it. And, what if, now, bear with me, okay. What if we sent out like a mailer or a flyer or something that had the logo on one side? And you know what logo I'm talking about. And it said something like, what do you think of this logo? Turn this over, or something like that. And on the other side then, once we got their attention, is the solar garden pitch.
I like
I'm not joking. I
Yeah.
think that would really get people's attention.
You're not wrong. I also don't want to piss people off, but you're not wrong. I like where the idea is headed. I'm not sure we're there yet, but I like where it's coming from.
So, Rich,
Yeah.
next week we're doing a community event where we're actually bringing folks in to vote on the new ideas. So there's going to be about 5 new ideas presented. I would say you could still keep something around the same idea, but have it be with potentially, the logo that eventually gets voted on by the BOT. Just as, I mean, it may still piss people off. I don't suspect we're going to make everyone happy, but at least it doesn't cause confusion, because I would suspect that printing that logo that rocks Nederland will cause confusion if we did it in that way. That would be my only concern. Otherwise, I think it's snippy and funny.
But if we're doing,
Uh,
people are very interested. What about a table at that event?
Sorry.
People are into the logos. We know that's got people activated. How about an outreach at the logo event next week for
Yeah,
this?
absolutely.
So
Yeah.
we're going to have a captive audience there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Wherever we can pair up against other events that are happening instead of having a standalone, I think that you're going to get more folks sort of interested or listening, for sure.
In the same vein as, printing a controversial logo, you could also send out, after communicating with Pivot and partnering with a brewery in town, you could send out, something that says free beer on one side and then flip it over and it's like, come to this event, Pivot sponsors, hands out a ticket at the door for everybody. They can pick a beverage of their choice, alcoholic or non. And that could get people in the door for, not all that much. I think if a brewery in town is going to sell a couple of kegs of beer, they'll probably let them go pretty cheap on a per beer basis.
Beer definitely gets people to show up. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, probably more than $2-3 would.
Yeah, so whether it's with the logo event next week or things with the comprehensive plan or the elections coming up, I think there's multiple opportunities. And then when the farmers market starts up, there's multiple opportunities throughout, the first quarter, second quarter, to get in front of some folks. So, and then if we combine that with some of our neighborhood outreach, yeah, I think we start to put a plan and we start to have a plan in place to get to that 300 mark.
Yeah.
Did you need anything else from us, Miranda, on that?
No, I don't think so. And I didn't know if Melody, there's a couple other things in this priority 1 I'm happy to give updates on that's kind of separate from the subscriptions.
Yeah, I was going to ask about SoulSmart and if Britt had any capacity to dig into that yet, or where we're at on that whole process.
Yeah, so we met with them about gold. I think the challenge with gold is expedited permitting. And as long as we have a third party that does our permitting, they don't have the capacity to commit to this like 1 to 2 day turnaround. And they know it's a desire of ours, but I think really the board would have to decide if they felt that this was such a priority that they wanted to go with a different vendor who could meet that timeline and move away from Safe Built, or if they wanted to look in the future of bringing it in-house so that internally we could process them in 2 to 3 business days. But unfortunately, we won't ever really be eligible for gold until we have a vendor who can commit.
Okay, that makes sense. And I do know that there is at least a handful of residents that would appreciate the town looking at other options besides Safe Built, but that's a DOT decision. And so one thing I ran into, and this is just with my personal house, is the code about how much edge there has to be basically around the solar panels. And so when you have a roof with two different slopes, where those slopes change, you'll still need that distance from the solar panel to the slope. So essentially what we wind up with is, on my house, I could only fit enough panels to cover about 30% of my energy because of code. But in reality, there is space to put a full set of 12 panels that would cover 100% of my energy up there. But due to the way the code is, we can't. And so I'm wondering, that's just something I ran into because of my personal experience. But I'm wondering if there are other small things like that that we could look at that would make us more solar friendly, even if it didn't get us that next level designation.
I'm very close to that code ordinance. I believe that's a fire code for access to your roof peak from venting an attic space in your roof.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm pretty familiar with that. Code also defines exemptions if there's access to the back roof plane of your house. So there are exemptions out there, but we would need a strong reason to depart from fire code in order, because this is a safety and particularly in a community where we're interested in resiliency to wildfires, we need a strong reason to depart from that. So I'm of two minds on this topic, and yeah, I guess I'll just leave it at that with that information to the group.
Yeah, I guess I'm not, and just knowing Marshall Jocelyn, I'm not sure and not that he doesn't care about solar, but I'm just not sure he's gonna wanna offer a recommendation to deviate from fire code. And he tries really hard. He knows how important solar is to us. And so when there are complex solar and there is a way to try to maybe maneuver things to still address fire, he really does try to do that. But I agree with Rab. I worry a bit of doing any sort of deviation from fire code and recognizing, just all codes are important, and that code really also speaks to a lot of our wildfire preparedness components.
Yeah.
So I think two topics that are relevant here is understanding if local fire companies actually do rooftop venting anymore. I think that that's a little bit of an outdated practice these days. So we can ask if that's even a typical practice. So there's that one portion, and then previous concerns were about live electrical. You can't turn off a solar panel adjacent to somebody smashing holes in your roof because it's on fire. Most of those concerns have been mitigated with current code that requires PV to be essentially like a car battery when it's shut off, when they pull your meter on the side of the house when you actually have a house fire. So because of those two things, we could engage local fire service to try to understand what practices are and if an exemption is appropriate for those people that it applies to, and that exemptions currently called out in code don't apply to. So that would be maybe a starting point to try to understand if there's common ground. But yeah, it's definitely nuanced for sure.
Yeah, well, and I think maybe if we get more clear with the fire department of like when those exemptions make sense and when they don't, and we had information about that could be with the public's information about installing solar, that could be helpful, or even just some basic information about, like, if you're building a new house and how to go about making it solar ready the best way, or if you're remodeling, how to make it solar ready the best way. Because it's just so hard to dig through the code and all the different building resources and really get an understanding of what your best choices are. You know what I mean? And this would be like, it would probably take us a significant amount of time to get the information put together in a good way, but it might be something that would help us get residents to actually install solar and go through the process.
I'm happy to ask Marshall Jocelyn next time I talk to him, just if he's got some preliminary thoughts, and maybe we could discuss this more at the February meeting. I can come back with just some preliminary information.
Yeah.
I can also pull a couple code citations. I'm opening up that right now, but
Cool.
yeah, that would help in the
Great.
conversation, I think.
Yeah. Thanks, Rad. That would be super helpful.
Okay, and then anything else on energy code or anything like that you wanted to touch on, Miranda?
No, I mean, obviously under the comp plan will be some land use code recommendations. And so we may see some more, solar friendly or just more environmentally friendly codes. I do know that, yeah, I mean, I guess I could just see, a little bit even just in regards to yard and bulk. Of course, the ground mount solar really took a look at yard and bulk and removed a lot of those barriers from ground mount, but there may be some other opportunities in which the tables could be amended. And so I don't have any specific examples right now, but I think we could see possibly some recommendations from SE Group because they know that sustainability is an important component for us.
For sure. Yeah, highly likely.
Okay. So our second priority goal was zero waste stuff. I feel like, we didn't get that in vessel composter yet. We're still hoping for that. But other than that, I feel like we've made good progress on that last year. People are still doing the farmers markets. That seems to go well. Zero waste subcommittee is a big part of that. And then we got the plastic ban coming up this year, which Miranda will have to start working on here shortly, right?
Yeah, so we actually already drafted the draft ordinance. We just, Attorney Madsen needs to look at it. And so just kind of didn't have her focus on it in 2023, but she'll get it started. We want to bring it to the Board of Trustees. It's slotted for May so that it can be in place by July 1st.
Okay. And then on our side of things as a board, we talked about some sort of outreaching to businesses, either with PACE or somebody else, to get the businesses that do have plastic bags kind of on board and just develop that relationship in a positive way. Let them know it's all coming, try to figure out how we can support them in the transition, etc. I'm volunteering myself to help with that kind of stuff.
So I think it's already happening, Melody. So we've already met with PACE and Excel is actually under PI going to send out the flyer that alerts the businesses about the plastic bag fee ban, and then has Matt's contact information. And then when Matt goes around, he was going to do that targeted outreach for the businesses we know are using styrofoam. Not saying that we don't want your support. We do. We'd love everyone's support. Yeah. But the framework is already in place. And I think Matt is back up here next month to start some of that and some of those initial conversations.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, because I know like BNF, when the thing first got passed, Dan was like clearly like worried and like, oh, okay. And he took some action right away. And because there hasn't been really ongoing communication with them, they've basically rolled back the positive momentum that they took, and they're back to the way they were a year ago.
Right.
So that just noting that.
Yeah.
You know, it
Agreed.
takes some work to get them back to, okay, now it's time.
Yep. I agree. Yeah, I agree. And I think we were hoping that maybe Matt could take kind of some of the first step, but in recognizing that there will be likely SAB or town staff support to have to come in after that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so yeah, so let them take the first go, and then maybe where there's gaps or where we can support, we can do that. Is what I'm saying. Okay,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, I think Matt will provide some guidance, but since he's already up here doing the business outreach, he said he was happy to kind of take the first round of education.
Got it.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's cool.
And then I'm correct that we're still on track for the in-vessel composter in the next couple months up there?
Yes, that is, I have not heard any deviation, so yes, I believe that to be true.
Yeah. Anything else on zero waste, positive or negative?
No, I just think with the C&D program, obviously the new sustainability and permitting fee that added to the increase in your sustainability coordinator will help a ton. And so, programs kind of on delay. I mean, Britt, of course, still educates people to it, but we'll really probably be waiting for Leah to come back. And that will be right before the heavy part of building season. And then, with her increased hours, she's going to be able to do that direct contractor outreach to help them walk through the process. And they can be eligible to receive back their permitting fees if they do divert. And I just think having that staff to walk them through the process, I'm excited to see what kind of data we have once she's able to do that direct outreach, and if we are able to see more diversion. But just know it's not really a Q1 priority. It will be as soon as Leah's back in April.
Yeah, and that makes sense anyway, because it's not really heavy building season right now. So
Yep.
that's fine.
Agreed.
And then just remind me real quick, when they go through that program, they submit some sort of proof showing that they recycled or dropped those materials off for reuse somewhere. With the new pole barn going up at the transfer station, would that be a valid consideration of like reused materials if they donated materials to there?
Yes. Yeah. So the
Okay.
spreadsheet that they fill out, while I think it looks intimidating, it's really robust in the sense of you have a lot of opportunities to show different means of diversion. I think it just needs a person to walk someone through it, because I think it just comes across so intimidating. I think that there could be a lot of success with Leah frequently touching base with contractors, asking them how it's going and helping them know where they could go, including the transfer station. So yes, I think for the first time ever, since we have the extra hours with Leah that is purely funded really under this program, we could, when we revisit this towards the end of the year, actually have some data to analyze and determine if it's working well or if there are tweaks, where historically we've just kind of had haphazard information about the program.
Yeah, well, and I remember Chris saying that one of the obstacles, Chris Pelletier, one of the obstacles was that people had to drive those materials and or get somebody to pick them up to take them quite a distance, like down to Resource or whatever. And so having that option be much more local, I just wanted to make sure that that was going to qualify, because I feel like that's also a hurdle, is just having to take them a long place, whereas these contractors are already going to the dump. So it's not an extra drive.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
So then transportation, EV use and accessibility. There was clearly a delay on our fast chargers, but I think this car share program definitely fits into part of this goal. And then are we planning on writing grants for chargers other places? Like, do we have a long-term plan for that?
No, but I do think that will be outlined in the multimodal transportation plan. That's one of the areas that they're evaluating is, of course, that like alternative sources of transportation, including EVs. You know, we do what's interesting is actually as soon as our threes go in and Gilpin's threes go in, or the peak to peak can file to be a EV scenic byway. We will have met the threshold for that, but of course doesn't mean we shouldn't keep installing more. But I am not aware of any current plan of like the where to install in Nederland. I know that utilities is interested in it, but of course that would be for town vehicles.
Yeah.
You know,
Do you know where Leah's conversation went with Claudia at the Tebow parking lot?
will have to remind myself of my notes. I might have to get back to you on that one.
Okay.
I don't recall it being like a total no, but I also don't recall it being a total yes.
Yeah, I think I think the issue is they have to apply, obviously, because
Right.
it's his property. But that's like the other big parking lot in town, right? Besides RTD, which I think would be ideal placement for chargers.
You know, on Tebow, like being in Boulder, you know, from time to time, he really tries to be a philanthropist, right, to the community.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I don't know if anyone has approached him of, hey, have you thought about, you know, this for your lot there as sort of a good thing to do for the environment, or even just a good thing to do for people, to have this charger type thing available. I don't know how well I don't know him personally, so I don't know how he would respond, but I really see on, you know, lots of times where like he's sponsoring something at the hospital or something here or something there.
Yeah, and Leah did talk to them. I don't have the right notebook on me to tell you what stood of that, but in worst case scenario, I'm happy to always just go back to Claudia and be like, Leah's not here, educate me to what we decided here. And I just think that there was some support needed, because I know the library is interested in it too. And I
Okay.
don't think they had I don't think their application got accepted. And the Presbyterian Church was also considering it, but they ended up not applying. And so I think it's just more of, you know, maybe even we can provide support as SAB, like assisting with grant writing and helping them just, you know, if it's a capacity issue, perhaps we could work with them to offer support in applying.
Yeah. Yeah. And then another location is the community center. I heard some really exciting news last night that the West Wing is actually gonna be unoccupied soon.
Yes, that is true.
So is there a plan for chargers at all in that whole development of the community center?
Yes,
if
I
not,
think
there should be.
there should be, but I think the board of trustees will need to decide exactly how they want to design this building, and we're going to need JVA. I mean, currently, what I can tell you the recommendation is when the West Wing is torn down, that should become the parking lot. Try to find a way to abandon the luge altogether and then expand the facility to the east. But really looking to have that kind of memorialized in the comp plan, because that is where we'll get funding for a building, is having it documented somewhere. And then if the board will have to decide, do they agree with that kind of thought in terms of how to develop this space? I know there are some trustees who are interested in just looking to build a community center elsewhere, right? And so I just think the board has to have a larger conversations about what do they want the future of the community center to look like.
Okay.
And I also just think, Melody, that those conversations will happen as part of ultimately the comp plan, because for Dawn and I, it's really important that somewhere in that plan, we get it kind of documented that there is, of course, a need to expand a community center. And so we can seek funding, because there's really no documents out there now proving the need. So it makes it hard to go to funders and be like, please fund a community center, just because we want it. We need it really kind of solidified of the value of expansion or relocation or whatever that might look like. But again, the board has to make that decision.
Yeah. Yeah. Anything else on transportation?
I just wanted to get the rundown. I did listen to, was not able to attend, but was able to listen to the last SAB meeting where Leah explained that there was a holdup with the level 3 fast charger. I wanted to get the lowdown on exactly what was the holdup from Excel. Sounds like wrong equipment was installed, or what was the miss?
Yeah, the transformer is not robust enough. It won't, it can't support the level 3s. And then sounds like the level 3s we ended up getting kind of right in the transition of Chris leaving was not the level 3s Excel thought we were going to get. So they thought they sized it to a different model than what we have. And so the model of what we have just can't be supported. And so Excel will upgrade the electrical at their own dime, but it takes almost 11 months to get on their schedule. So the alternative is that we have to kind of like buy out of a program and do it ourselves, which is at the tune of $64,000. So while it really is unfortunate that we can't install the fast chargers, I don't think the town, I think it's worth the wait and given the expense of trying to like buy out.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, thanks for that clarity.
Yeah, and if we can do it faster, great. You know, the one kind of blessing here is I was concerned because the grant that funded those chargers, they said they had to be installed by May with data transmitting, and we were able to luckily get the extension through the end of the year. So Excel knows though that it's imperative that they get it installed by early fall because you need data in order to get the funding back for those chargers. And we don't want to be out on the hook for $70,000 for chargers either. So a lot of different moving pieces, but it seems like everyone's on the same page between the funders and Excel in town. It's just a bit of the waiting game now.
Okay.
No,
And
One thing
yeah,
to put in perspective, oh, sorry.
the duration
one
of,
thing to-
of the wait, anticipated wait from Excel, is about 10 months from today? Is that correct?
It was 11 months from December.
Yeah, okay.
One thing
Thank
to
you.
keep in perspective on this is the energy load for a DC fast charger is equivalent to 14 residences. So if you're talking when it's charging, if you're talking 2 of them, it's equivalent to 28 houses. So the infrastructure for 28 houses is pretty big. And so it's not just like hooking. It's not like, you know, opening a house or a business and saying, come and hook me up, Excel. I think that may be part of the issue. It's a lot of electricity.
Just real quick before we close this down, you know, because we were talking about the solar campaign and combining it with perhaps the logo meeting next week. I know I and possibly Miranda, you probably won't be available to actually be at any type of table because we are actually guiding the conversation and facilitating. So I think we'd probably need the support and help from someone else in order to, you know, just be at a booth or a table to help have conversations around the solar campaign.
And is that Wednesday?
It's Tuesday, correct?
Yeah.
Mary?
Yeah, Tuesday,
And what time?
6 o'clock.
I can probably be there.
Although it may make sense to get there because the event like is actually a structured event. It's not like an open house where you just wander in whenever. People need to get there at 6 and there will be activities to engage in. So maybe if Melody, you're coming like 5:30. And then I'm not really sure you're gonna get a lot of signups after 6, to be honest, because people should be engaging in the activity.
Yep, that makes sense.
And we'll give a little bit of leeway, like just to see how folks are rolling in. Like we're anticipating we might not start till 6:15, but still, yeah, like per what Miranda's saying is it'll be pretty structured and people will be engaged definitely somewhere between 6 and 6:15, depending on how folks are showing up and when.
Yeah, so if I can be there at 5:30, do you have like half-sheet flyers or something we could print?
Yes. If we don't have it already printed, which I think we do, I can print some out.
Okay. Because that should be all I need is just info to send people home with of how they can sign up.
Yeah, I can also bring a tablet just in case anyone like wants to do it on the spot, but I do think they're not always gonna have all the information they need. So but we could try.
Yeah. Okay.
Were you going through any of the sub goals here, Melody, or do you just want to do the top three?
I just wanted to really go through those top three and make sure we felt like those were still made sense as our top three priority goals. I mean, I feel like they do. I feel like these are the places where we have the most momentum. But I just wanted to check in and make sure everybody else was feeling the same way.
Looking good.
I agree.
Cool. So the next couple of things, I think the next two, Melody, are mine. Just some other items, just super quick, looking for some people. I think Rich and Alan, ProSab seems to be pretty interested in wanting to understand what it means to be a guardian for rights of nature, and are just looking to see if you can attend their meeting on February 15th. It will be virtual only. So just wondering if either one of you might be available for that.
It's a meeting.
They meet at 5:30.
And can they put us early in the agenda so we can have
Yeah,
them around?
I can let Kat know that that's your request.
As far as I know, I can be there. And Rich, you're welcome to join me.
I'll send the calendar invite to both of you, and then if you can both jump on, great. If not, Alan, we'll see you there. The other event that we would love someone from SAB, if anyone's available, normally Leah would be there, but she's obviously not available, is our multimodal transportation plan task force meeting, where we'll start to look at kind of some of the data that's been collected and the preliminary recommendations for areas of focus. And we'd love to have a member of SAB there. Is anyone available on Tuesday, February 27th, from 1:30 to 3?
I can be available.
Great. I will send you that calendar invite. Cool. Those are my two other items. And then I think, Melody, you've got just other updates, public comment, staff updates, subcommittee updates, and then you're ending with your minutes approvals.
Yep. So if anybody has any other items to bring up, anything they want to note, discuss, or put on the agenda for next month, now would be the time to speak up.
We had an invitation from a utility directors meeting for next summer at June for a presentation on rights of nature. It seems to me that might be premature. What do you think, Rich and Miranda?
Something like that, I'd rather have a year under our belt.
We what?
I'd rather have a year under our belt before we went to something that sort of, yeah,
That's
big.
my feeling. Yeah. I agree. So maybe we can say thanks very much, but we'll get back to you. And Miranda, have you made contact with her?
I guess I wasn't quite sure in your emails if you wanted me to, but I'm happy to. Just so you all know, one thing that Rich and Alan and I talked about is setting up a Guardian's email address that they can use. And I'm just waiting for our IT to get settled to figure out if we should use it like a at Netherlands CO, and if so, what's the cost, or if we should do a Gmail. But something that because we're getting like media requests, something that they could respond through so that Guardian emails aren't sitting in people's private accounts.
That
Well,
sounds good.
and as people are going to want to report and submit their concerns, we should have a place where they can do that.
Yeah,
So yeah, that
exactly.
makes sense.
So I'm happy to respond to her on your behalf if you're okay. That just says thanks, but next year.
Yeah, that'd be appreciated. The other thing I think I wanted to discuss just real briefly is, I'd like to do an outreach to the city of Boulder water people and just find out when they're testing Boulder Creek, and can we get a copy of their report? And maybe our water staff would be the right people to reach out. Rich and I can be in on it, but I think it'd be better to have it be an official request from town staff. What do you think, Miranda?
Yes, I'd like to talk to Andrew because he might actually already have some of this data. I'd like to talk to Andrew, our utilities manager, and then if we don't, we're happy to reach out on your behalf and get those.
Okay, and then that can become part of our report, and Rich and I can look at what information is there, maybe discuss it with you and Andrew and see. Is there anything else we need to know? Is this pretty much what we wanted to know? And the other question I have is Boulder County doing any additional testing? But I got the impression it's mainly the city of Boulder.
Agreed. And what I will say is Boulder Watershed Collective, though, was happy to do additional testing. And so also getting Maya McHammer involved. And if you wanted them to do any additional testing, they were willing to do it.
Okay. Yeah, and Rich and I are going to be meeting with the watershed people.
Great.
Watershed person. We had tentatively talked about the 29th, but I don't think we set a date, did we, Rich? Or you mean a firm time?
No, I don't believe we did.
Okay, so we'll do that and then keep people in the loop on that conversation. Okay, thank you.
Just a quick question on that. Is that typically coliform testing, or is that more exotic metals testing as well?
I can't answer that for you. What type of testing? Are you asking Alan? Rab?
I don't know.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, maybe the group.
My impression was that it was pretty comprehensive, but I'm just not completely certain.
Yeah, I can find out what type of testing and get back to the group.
And then this is not anything necessarily for a future agenda, but it's just an awareness. Miranda, it looks like from Jennifer's email that the PC voted 8-1 to recommend the SRU for Teens Inc. So I know that that's been a topic for the SAB board in the past. So I believe it'll be at the February 6th meeting, Miranda, or is it a different meeting that we'll be discussing?
February 20th, because you need time for public noticing.
Got it, February 20th. So at February 20th meeting is when we'll be discussing that. So if folks are interested, I'd say either show up online or in person.
And I do
Yeah.
know, I do know, oh, sorry, go ahead, Melody.
Yeah, as that goes further along through the process, is this something that would come to us to do a scorecard on at some point?
So I think it was my understanding that the desire was that you all wanted to do a scorecard once there was more official building permit stuff. And so it would be best for SAB to recommend to, and I can put this in my aim, if assuming this is what you're doing, recommend to the BOT that when they draft their agreement, that they note in there that they want to see a sustainability scorecard completed on the actual plans, because those won't be there won't be actual plans at the time of SRU adoption.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just a land use decision at that point.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, and so after the SRU either gets approved or disapproved, if it gets approved, then that would be the time that we'd say, okay, we want this to go through a scorecard? Or are you saying recommend that it be part of the conditions of the SRU and we should make it tonight?
I would recommend you make that tonight. However, I do need to run it by Attorney Madsen just to confirm that it falls within the criteria. I
Yeah.
believe it would be fine to do that because the comp plan is a part of the criteria. And so I would be comfortable if you all, I don't know if you need a 4-vote vote, but maybe if you all give a nod for directing me to further explore the ability to make a condition as the SRU to be that all plans have to run through the sustainability scorecard. So if you all agree with that, I think it's a task you can put onto me.
In favor?
Agreed.
Good idea.
Well, so just a quick question, quick clarifying question. Is there going to be enough information as a part of the SRU for the SAB to actually make a decision on, Miranda?
No, I don't think, I guess I'm not saying, no, there wouldn't be. I think what I'm saying is that when you draft the SRU agreement, you could make one of the conditions that prior to issuance of building permit, the scorecard must be completed by SAB.
Okay, that's much more clear.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
yeah,
So
sorry. Yeah.
And that they have to have a passing score of 2 or
Right.
higher. Yeah.
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah, I
so-
guess, and if it's not in there, it could go into the lease. There are a couple of different ways in which I think you can get it solidified, but I'm gonna ask Attorney Madsen, is this okay for a possible condition to be that prior to building permit issuance?
So issuance of the building permit. Okay, that makes
Yeah.
that much more clear.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And it shouldn't scare off Team Zinc if anybody, if they get that impression that they feel like it's daunting. Like, I really do think this is a good plan and it's going to get a pretty high score. So I don't think they should be intimidated by this step either.
Yeah, and I do know Leah talked to Stephen about it. I think you always felt very comfortable. I don't know if they were going straight for LEED certification, but they were going to incorporate LEED standards into their design. So I think he always felt like they were always going to do the right thing, and was fine with the scorecard.
Right. Okay, well, if there's nothing else, then hopefully people reviewed the minutes. I just had 2 small typo errors that I suggested on, I think it was Busey Bruce. So I corrected it to Busey Bruce, and there was like a capitalization or something like that. But other than that, they look great to me. Does anybody else have anything on any of the minutes to edit or change? If not, then I am looking for a motion to approve them.
I
Thank
move,
I'm sorry.
go ahead, Ellen.
I move approving the minutes.
Second.
All right, so we will call a vote. Rich,
Yes.
Nicole,
Yes.
Rab,
Yes.
Alan,
Yes.
and myself is a yes, unanimously approved. Okay. With that, we will adjourn the meeting at 8 p.m.
Thank you,
Have a
All
good
everyone.
right,
evening.
thank you.
Thanks, all.